はい。お願いします。
お願いします。
So we'll just start with these loosen exercises. So just starting on the vertical, nice and loose. Just let the body kind of drop down into the ground. Feel the weight really drop through the feet. Especially focusing on releasing through the knees as you drop. The shoulders nice and relaxed. Just feel the whole weight of the body be received by the ground. Just start to kind of ground the feet and then just kind of bouncing through the whole body. Just kind of pulse the movement down into the ground. As much as you can, let the feet kind of release. Toes release. Knees stay nice and flexible, springy. Move it on a little bit. Just start with these stretches. So just breathing up. Stretch right up, nice deep breath in through the nose. And then flexing the knees, keep the spine long, all the way to the ground, breathing out as you do it. Nice and slow, the first one. Take a little bit of time at the bottom, hands in the ground. And then when you feel like it, just come up, curl up through the spine, and then take the breath in, and just let the body flow up, stretch up, and I'm just gonna let someone into the room. There we go. And just repeat this. So, okie dokie, good. So just stretching up, breathing through the nose. And the main thing is maintaining the length through the spine. So keep the spine long. Knees again, nice and relaxed. And just let the weight of the body drop down. Release through the spine, the head. Spend a little bit of time on the ground with their hands. And then when you feel the knees kind of breathe, come up. Curl all the way up through the spine, up, 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 lengthen through the body, breathe in, and coming down. We'll do about 8 in total, just in your own time. Just start to make it a little bit more flexible. Let the breath in, and let the breath out. Trying to really unlock the spine as you do it. And up. And you've gone probably through 6. Just start to make it a little bit more fluid now, a little bit faster, a little bit more dynamic. So coming up, stretch up, breathing out. Coming up. So don't lose any of the quality of the movement, but just make it a little bit more dynamic. And the last one, just spend a little bit more time at the bottom. So breathe in, let the breath out, let the breath out, let the breath out, all the way down, and just spend a little bit more time at the bottom. Fully empty the lungs as much as you can. And when you feel the need to come up, again, breathe in, breathe in. Take your time, come up. Just come back to a normal vertical position. There, and just take a nice, deep, natural breath. We're going to do the same, just stretching up. Stretch up through the side, again, nice deep breath in, through the nose, and over to the side. Stretching, lengthening, releasing through the body. And release it. And in this case, just go to the other side. So stretching up, really create length through the whole body. And just take it over to one side. Just let the breath kind of leave the body. So fully in. Really fill the lungs up, expand, keep the expansion as you go over. other side again, stretching up. Okay, just working a little bit with the head, so just look to the left, to the right, quite loose. And then chin to chest, just dropping the head down, stretching up. And really feel that opening the front of the neck, up, closing down, to the floor. Looking up, stretching up. And nice and slowly, just working semicircles in the front, so just half circles in the front. Even though you're kind of isolating the head movement, just allow the whole body to move. The focus is in the head, but let the whole body move. And do the same, just circling over the back, very loose, no strain in the head. If you feel any kind of pain, don't take it so far. So just nice and loose, shouldn't be painful at all. And then very light, we're just kind of using the top. Just going to draw kind of figure of 8 movement with the head. So just imagine the head's going to kind of move in. And again, just let the whole body kind of spiral with the movement. That's it. Good. So the focus is in the head, but again, let the whole body kind of move with the head. Good. Now we're just going to go down to the chest. So just press the chest out to the front and then sink it in. Press it out. Sink it in. And then just kind of help with this. Just have the arms out, shoulders back and down. And again, just push the chest forward. So it's as if you're in a kind of press up position. Just push the chest forward. And then sink the chest back. Pull the chest forward. Press the chest out. Just play within these 2 ranges. Closing and opening the chest. Really involving the shoulder blades with the movement as well. Just about mobilization, so just think about how much mobilization you can get in this. There. And then fully to the shoulders, just rolling backwards. Nice big movements again. And again, even though you're isolating the work in the shoulders, allow the whole body to be involved. Nice and loose. As big a movement as you can do with the shoulder. And then reversing it out to the front. Really try and include in as much as you can the back of the shoulder. Let's let Nina in. That's it. Good. So especially if you spend a lot of day on the computer, there's a tendency to kind of become like a lot like this all the time. So really in this case, really trying to open the back through the shoulder. Imagine you're kind of doing like a kind of swing stroke, really to the back. But you're not going to involve the arms and it's just going to come from the shoulder. Big a movement as you can make. And then just nice and loose, you're just going to do 1 at a time, back. So much more flexible now, involved in the kind of diaphragm area, the chest.
Good evening.
Just let it roll. Yes, wait. That's it. Good. Nice. Now just to involve the whole arm, you're going to work the other direction, you do a kind of figure of 8 movement. So if you think of a little bit like these movements we do with the jaw, when we do these turning exercises, think about this. And we just go straight away into both sides, so just let both hands follow the movement. Oh, you can see, do it a little bit slow. Yeah. And again, really involving the whole limb, so the whole arm. Keep it fluid, flexible, and supple. Really involve it in the whole movement. So again, it's about range of motion and mobility. And connecting it into the structure. Slowly, will start to come. That's it. Nice. Nice. Good. Good. And And then just dropping into the hips, just big circles, big as you can with the hips. You can imagine like a hula hoop around the body, really kind of pressing the hips against it or touching the hips against it. And just listen if there's a kind of difference in the hip. One hip might be tighter than the other. Just see if you can notice it first. So just listen to the body, listen to the hips. I feel the movement at one point as you come to the front, it will pass from one hip and then into the other hip. You're going to kind of passing from the movement in through the hip. The movement will just kind of pass through. Nice and big circles. Do both directions. That's great. Okay, plant your feet down, just come into this kind of spiraling exercise. Let the arms be nice and heavy. Breathe out the practice all in the hips. Let the hips really generate the movement. Really feel a spiral from the core of the body down into the feet. Good. Just continue that a little bit. Just kind of check. Nice. Nice, very nice. Okay, good. So we're going to do a little bit of atemi work later, but this exercise is actually very critical to a lot of the work we do. So in this case, when you do the atemi work, you're actually kind of passing a movement of the hip into the hand. So there's an idea of like connecting the hip to the hand. This kind of feel this. So in this case, the arms are very floppy, very loose. But what I don't want to do in this case is like this. Is do the movement with the arms. It would be the same as doing the movement like this with the punch with the arm. But I want something much more centered, much more grounded, where the hip creates the movement. So in this case, it doesn't feel related, but the structure is actually the same. I really get a sense that the weight of the body is really located in the center of the body. And you're going to really just press the hands out. So just play as much as you can, really try and release through the hands, the shoulders. So all this kind of work is about releasing the shoulders. So just see if you can release the upper body a little bit more. Focus on the base, the hips, and generating the movement from the core of the body. Just see if you can release more and more the arms as you do it. Good. Just keep going. And this exercise is really something you can do for like 10, 15 minutes. Really get into this kind of exercise. We won't today because we don't have the time. There's more interesting things to do, but this is the kind of thing you can really just go into quite deeply. That's it. Yeah. And you want to do these exercises to the point where you get bored, seriously bored with them. And you think, I'm getting really bored, I want to move on. And you've got to kind of go through that. That kind of boredom is actually essential to the training. So being bored is good because it will force me, if I keep to the exercise and I only do that one exercise and I'm bored, I will start looking at things in the exercise. So I'll start to look at subtleties in the exercise. So being bored is a good thing. So the motivation of boredom is actually that I need to look for something else. Now, if I really force myself stay in the one exercise, like the first Saburi, and I'm really going to bore myself to death with it, then I start to kind of generate a little bit of excitement in the movement. And then I start to look for other things in it. So go through the boredom is basically all I can say with the training. Lots of the training is boring. Lots of the training is mundane, even though we enjoy it. Just get the sense that you can kind of go a little bit deeper into it. There you go. Okay, good. So we're going to start working with the legs just and working on some UKEMI. But just the first thing we did this last week, just coming down to the ground and just use as much as you need. Use the hands. So just come to the ground, and I just want you to go into a sitting position. So just get kind of into a comfortable sitting position. Or it can be just sitting down like this. It can be any kind of sitting, crouching position. Seizures are quite a nice position because it's using the whole body to do it. So just go from standing, come to the ground, and again, really use the hands. So I know a lot of the Japanese arts, they don't use the hands to kind of come down to the ground for a reason, but I need to kind of use the hands. But for now, just experiment a little bit with the hands, the arms, coming down, finding the ground. And just experiment a little bit with coming down to a seated position. Feel nice and comfortable. So you can kind of sit into the position, and then just decide to come up. And slow. And just make it as easy as you can. Don't forget to breathe as you do it. I know it sounds kind of stupid and obvious, but a lot of the time we're holding our breaths as we do things, so try and breathe as you do. There we go. Good. Nice. And there shouldn't be any stress on the body at all. So you shouldn't feel a kind of pressure. Shouldn't feel kind of tense. And if you do, I'd just suggest kind of looking into where the tension's happening. If you're feeling pressure maybe in the knees, in the neck, just kind of listen to it. And again, you can use the movement to soften into the ground. There we go. Good. So we just take this to the next level. So you're going to come down now into the ground and then just come flat onto the back here. And then I just want you to again just stand up. And then just play with them from any position. We're just making it a little bit fluid. So you're going to go down and just come just onto the flat of the back. Let the body kind of relax into the ground. And then just come up. And you can come up anywhere you like. So if you want it kind of easy, use the hands, use the feet, use kind of comfortable positions. If you want it a little bit more tricky, don't use the hands. Just stand up through the body. But whatever you do, try and make it easy. So I don't want to stress the body at all in this kind of exercise. It should be nice, comfortable, relaxed, tension-free as much as possible. Using the breath again as you go down. Flat onto the back each time. Really come to a stop. And then start the movement. Nice and easy. Good. Good. Okay, so now just come down to the ground. And again, I want you to play with coming onto the back. Now you want you to roll over to the front. Come over to the front. Roll over onto the back. Find the seating position or the squat position. And then come back onto the feet. So just 2 steps in between. A little bit more stressful now, probably. A little bit more active. Down, onto the back. Rolling over onto the front. Take your time on the front. And then again, just come up however you like. Really focus on a return to the base. So starting relaxed in the base, sinking into the ground, onto the back, or all onto the front. And you just come up any way you like. Okay. So, good. Now, the more strenuous it gets, the more you're going to kind of need to use the breathing as well. So keep the breath going, keep the breath relaxing the body, softening into the ground. Nice and easy. Nice. Yeah. That's Next step, I'm going to come down now. Hopefully most of you can do this. If you can't stick with the last exercise, so if the floor's a bit heavy or a bit hard, don't do this, but if you can, you're going to now come into the ground, find the roll, find the base, and then stand up. So you're going to now do this kind of in one move now. So you're going to go down, find the roll, find the base, stand up. And again, just take a few steps in between, so don't kind of keep going through it. Take a few steps. Relax the body, a few breaths, catch the breath a little bit, and then just go into it. One thing now. So all the way down, all the way up in one movement. All the way down, all the way up. And I'm not really concerned with what you do, but how you do it. So in this case, just watch this. What can happen is I use the body in a kind of linear way. I'm kind of moving on a track in a way. Think about much more spiral work. So all of Aikido works, all the time Aikido works in spirals. It never works linearly. Sometimes we look at circular movements, but all the time it's actually moving in a spiral. So think about how you can integrate a spiral through this movement. And the more movement I create in the movement, the bigger the spiral is going to get. But that spiral is always going to be there because the core of the movement is a spiral. So think about kind of how do I locate the spiral in the movement? It doesn't have to be big. See if you can get something with much more with a kind of nature of a spiral. Nice. Okay, then the same motion, but this is a little bit more, the feeling now is a little bit like I'm kind of springing up out of the ground. So this is a bit easier when you can do a forward roll. So I'll try and show it in a forward roll. The movement's like this, I'm kind of, there's a receiving into the ground and then a coming up to the ground. Now this works in the backwards roll, but it's a little bit harder to find. So just make this movement now a little bit active, but there's a feeling of like receive into the ground and then boom, straight back up. So this looks nothing like sword work. And I'm aware it looks nothing like sword work, but my feeling in the body is like cutting into the ground. And I use that cut to come back up. So there's a feeling of like cut through the ground and then stand back up. So again, it looks nothing like sword work. It's a bit easier to find in the front roll, but it's still here in this kind of sense. So just get the sense you're going to go into the ground, and then there's a feeling of cutting into the ground and coming back up. So there's a feeling now of like bump into the ground, and use that bump to spring back up in this case. So just it's a little bit more active. So it's the same movement, just a bit more activity. Let's go this kind of straight back up. So it's got a little bit like I'm not going to wait around so long in the ground. Straight back up. And if you can do a forward roll, great. It'd be really, really useful. You can probably find it much easier. Yeah, great. Very nice. Good. Nice. Good. Very. Okay, good. So those of you, I think we did it last week, well, maybe we did it on a Sunday. I can't remember the days, but you probably remember this one. This is quite punishing. So I'm going to show you a few ways to do it, and then you can choose which one you want to do. So whatever you do, you're going to do 10 of them. So it goes like this. Basically, you come down into a presser position, you press it up. Yeah, and then all I want to do is find a roll. Now, if you've got the mat space, go to the forward roll. Here, and then every time you're going to come back into a press up position. And then you find the press up, find the roll. Find the press up, find the roll. It's always going to be the same. If you've got a softish floor or you're not so sure, go to this variation. So I'm going to show you 3 variations. You've got this one, still do the press up, back, and then take it through, go to the back. Go to the press up, through, back, over, and back to the press up, okay? If you struggle with the press up, just do it this way. So this is the last way, this is the easiest way. Not easy, but easiest. You start this position, you go down, hip, over, back. Down, hip, over, back. But each time you're going to come up to this position, like this, okay? So choose which one you want to do, or choose which one you can do, and then you're just going to do 10 repetitions, okay? And I'm going to do 10, so I'll do it with you. So you press up and roll. Ready, steady, go. 1. Plus. Yes. Go. Rock. And if the one you've chosen is too hard, go drop down to the other level. So make it a bit easier on yourself. The key is going, push through it, and just get to 10. And none of them are easy. And this is designed to be difficult, so enjoy it. And once you've done 10, just come back up. Take a rest a little bit.
Do another one.
Put my gi back together. Good. Hey, and if you want to do more while we're waiting, also feel free. Probably no. Oh, Adrian's on it. Great. Good. Okay, good. Everyone's done. Good. Adrian, do 10 more. No. Okay, good. So just take your bokken. We're going to do a little bit of bokken work. So nice exercise in all senses of the word. So okay. We're going to bokken. Okay. We're just going to go straight into the first suguri. So just coming out into kamai, finding the back. All right. Nice and easy. Just cutting down. Full focus. Just come through it. You're probably super aware of your center now from the UKEMI work. So just use that sensation you've got in the stomach, in the core, in the backside, and try and really now generate the power with that kind of whole area of the body. Just nice and in your own time.
Up.
Nice and big.
Up. Up. Up.
Oh, yes. Hey. Whoosh.
Up. Hey. Hey. Up.
Okay, we're going to look a little bit at atemi at the end, but again, this kind of idea of like the hip generating the power, or the hip generating the movement, this kind of exercises. Again, try and kind of find this configuration here. It's not the same. It's a little bit different, but the organization's the same. So really, the real stages are in the hip, the first movement, the hip. And then from this movement, again, just go like the hip goes. Let the hip release the cut. So in this case, just do this. You're going to go into kamai, And really feel that you connect the center into the sword. Hip goes, find the center in the movement, and then go, hip. And then just come back into kamae. So each time just draw back into the kamae. And this gives you the kamae is the optimum position, really to kind of really feel that you gather the hips in, connect the sword, go. Connect at the back, go. And just basically locate that, the initiation in the hip. The initiation of the movement goes from the hip. That's it. Okay, good. Okay, good. Good. And obviously it's never just the hip, so you can't move anything in isolation in the body. So only if you kind of want to make everything really tense and solid. So just think about now the back hip and its relationship to the ground, which is through the connection to the foot. So just watch for this. It's really important. I see a lot of the time on YouTube, if you watch the kind of Suburi practice, they'll do a lot where they kind of move the feet a lot. And this is okay. But if you look at the first Suburi, it's like the most simplified way you can make a cut in an exercise. So the idea is you really sink into the back foot as you do this. So as this motion is really all the weight sinking down. Now as you initiate the hip, that comes from a sinking down of the body. So just think about now this line which runs through the body. Also the arms involved, but don't think so much now about the arm. Think about the hip down to the leg and think about rooting the movement down through that back leg. So rooting really strongly here. The front foot's very light and then heavy in the base. So just think about how you're compressing the weight through the body, through the structure. And then just take all your attention into what's happening between that back hip and the back foot. Okay, good. Okay, and again, we're going to go into atemi work. So the strike, the ski is a really great example for it, and we'll go into it a little bit later. But again, this kind of, what you want to avoid in this case is upper body motion, which is basically the structure coming out from the hips. So I and I lose the hip. So the structure is just leaned over my base, and I basically push the upper body forward. Okay, that's one way of using the body, but it's quite limiting in terms of what you're going to do next. So what that translates to in the sword work is like this. Pushing the sword out, pushing the upper body out. And what I'm doing is basically creating a split in the body. I've got a grounded foot, and then I push the body out like this. This is really exaggerated, but you'll see what happens is the body goes, and then it tries to pull itself back. So it's trying to correct something which is I'm over-egging the movement. So it's and then it pulls itself back. Or I just hold the body in total tension. And the lower body just goes stiff. And I can't really hold that long, so I want to get out of that very quickly. So just notice this case. So the cut is actually nothing to do with pushing the upper body out. And the punch is nothing to do with pushing the hand out. It's to do with generating an explosive movement from the hip, from extension. It is not to do with pushing the arm out. So this is basically where you need to basically switch the intention. I can push the sword out, or I can just get behind the arc of the sword. So there's an arc in the sword, and I try and align my body to it, which means I'm not pushing it out at all. Okay, so just try this. Just look at the upper body as you do it. You want a really stable base, and basically the upper body aligning with the sword. That's it, Keith. Great. Yeah, good. And just watch what happens, or just the best thing is feel what happens in the upper body. You will feel the effect in the whole body. Whatever you're doing, just try and listen to it. And the main question is, does it feel comfortable? Does it feel relaxed? Do I feel centered? Am I really balanced? These are the kind of questions to ask yourself as you do it. And those aren't necessarily thinking questions or cerebral questions. Those are like bodily. How does my body feel? What am I actually feeling in the body? What are my sensations? Feeling, you know what feeling off balance feels like. So try and go to that kind of level of sensation. What does it really feel like? That's it. Good. Okay, so we're just going to build up into this. You're going to go back, cut down with the Shomanuchi again, really look for the kind of balance in it, and then just so you can pass the movement through into the seven Suguru. A nice basic, just come back every time. Find in the back, apply the hips, find the ground, and then really press the movement through for the ski. And then just take your time coming back. Find the back, Shomanuchi, ski. Again, just look at the balance of the body. Am I connecting the center fully? Am I relaxed as I can, as much as I can be? Back. So we tend to mistake the ski as a kind of forward motion because we almost always do a forward motion with the ski. There tends to be an assumption that the ski is actually a kind of forward motion. So there's a tendency to think like it's forward, everything should go forward with the ski. And then again, I've got the same kind of issue, I'm pushing out. So rather than kind of expanding and spiraling and using kokyu, I start to go to pushing and this kind of feeling. So just see if you can basically unlock the movement in the ski, which is basically this is basically like a spiral through the system. So again, working much more less linearly in lines and more spirally. So much more spirally. So the core of the movement in the ski is actually a spiral. So just play a little bit with the footwork, and you don't need to go anywhere. So you can just do this on the spot. But it's about extension, kokyu, spiraling. It's not about pushing, moving forward. It's something else. The core of the movement is something else. But just play a little bit with it on the spot, moving forward. You can also do this backwards. It's a little bit more tricky, but whatever you do, you're going to work with a spiral. That's it. Nice. Very nice. Okay, good. Good. Yes. Great. Very good. Okay, so we're going to work with spiraling, and the best way to do it, obviously, these movements are really, for me, fundamental. It's kind of the first suburi and the seventh ski, the seventh suburi. The ski, it's really a great movement. It's the spiraling movement in the head. But there's other movements we can make which kind of also emphasize it. And one of them is these kind of slicing movements. So we're going to do this movement now. You come to the kamae, find the back, find the shomanuchi, find the ski, and then from this position, you're going to make a rotation, and you're going to slice to the back. Okay, and just to get the movement, because it may be unfamiliar to us, to you, and to me as well. We don't do it quite a lot. So you're going to come through here, find this, and then just focus on the right hand, release the left hand, and spiral to the back. And don't worry about what you're doing with the sword. the key thing with the spiral work again is the body. What am I doing with the body? So just release through the spiral as you do it, through the slice. 1, 2, release the left hand, spiral to the back. And just let the sword go. Okay, so just let the movement happen. Wow. Just let the movement go. Okay. Okay, good. Good. So the same issue again. So always the movements kind of have the same kind of flavor. If my relationship to movement is something kind of external, pushing out, pushing forward, and pushing out. So that will kind of flavor all the movements that I make. So if my movement is in a way kind of external from me, everything I do will be external to me. So think in this case, just working from this position, because it's the kind of new movement, one we're not totally used to doing, but think about really the core of the body. So something needs to soften from the core. And then this goes out. But I'm really, really, really not concerned what the sword's going to do. So I don't have a plan at all for the sword. It's just here, and then I go spiral body. And the sword will do what it wants to do anyway. So I'm not going to try and force the movement externally. So go here, and then just feel soften. Soften from the core. And just let the sword go. That's it. Yeah, good. Nice. So make the core of the movement the body work. It's not really sword work. That's it. Good. Good. Much better. Yeah. Good. Okay, and the last point about this one before we move on from it, if you think about kokyu work, so even though we're going to go a little bit of atemi work, I keep saying we're going to go into atemi work, but even when we do atemi work in Aikido, it's related to kokyu spirals. So it's not related against kind of linear force, like some kind of punching styles you might see. But again, we're trying to unlock spiral work in the body. So it's always going to be that kind of spiral work. So if you look at kokyu work, it really relies on the flexibility in the joint. So all the kokyu work has the flexibility in the joint. It's never moving a stiff arm through space. So it's never working stiffly. It's always going to be something soft. So try and, in this case, just go back to 2 hands on the sword here and try and basically unlock the spiral in the movement. So there's a big kokyu movement. But if I miss it, I will get really nothing out of this training. So if I go to this kind of spiral work and I go, I get nothing from the spiral. So, and I get nothing, and I get no relationship between the sword work and the body work. So really try and get the sense that what I'm practicing is body movement. It's not sword work. So this. And if I get kind of confused, I think about how would I do this kind of movement in taijutsu? How would I do that kind of kokyu work in taijutsu? Well, I would do it something like this, or something like this, but I wouldn't do it with a kind of stiff, right? Like this. So just see if you can get a bit more supple in the arms as you do it. And we can all get more supple, so however supple you think you are, there's a lot more suppleness you can get. There we go, that's it. And it's from the core out, so it's not about the arm, it's about what's happening in the core. So the core also it needs to soften. So the core softens, and that suppleness passes out from the core like a wave. Yeah, that's it, Keith. Good. That's it. And it's sensation, it's not technique, it's feeling, it's not form. Yeah, good. Nice, good. That's it, nice. Great. Very nice. Good. Okay, we're just going to have one more movement to this. So you're just going to start here again. Go to the Shomanuchi. Find the ski. Find the spiral to the back. And then from here, what I want you to do is release the sword into a Yokomanuchi. Okay, so the last cut's a nice strong Yokomanuchi. I'll show you this way. So you can see. So you find Shomanuchi. Find the spiral slides to the back. And then from here, release everything. Find the Yokomanuchi. Just come back into Kamae. And then just repeat. So you go Shomanuchi, ski, slice to the rear, Yokomanuchi. And back. And then just keep repeating it. So it's a nice short sequence. You've got all these kind of complex spirals happening in the body. So nice. Hey. Okie dokie. Great. Okay, good. So just put the swords to the side. We're going to a little bit of Atemi waza, basically striking work. So Atemi waza is a kind of strange topic because it basically means body blows or kind of blows to the body. So Atemi is much more about what are the interaction between two things. So when we're doing this kind of solo work, or we kind of call it Atemi work, it's kind of striking practice. But my thought or my feeling is that it's basically how it's going to be applied within the technique. So obviously you've got lots of striking systems, different ones, Shotokan Karate and Wing Chun and all this kind of stuff. And what we basically need to do is unlock the movements we do with the sword work, because these, if they are, as we kind of say, they're the foundation for all the kind of movements we make, they also need to be the foundation of all the kind of striking work that we do. So you probably don't do a lot of solo striking training in your dojo. Maybe you do. Some schools do. But basically what you need to do is basically unlock all the weapon work and into the body work for the ski, so for the striking. So we're just going to start really basic, but I just want to start straight away in a kind of in a frontal posture. So it can be hammy or it can not be hammy. It's actually I'm not really concerned with the foot position at the start, but I just wanted to just practice from here. It's very basic ski from the front like this, and you're just going to practice rotating the body like this. You're just going to practice kind of placing the fist in. So you're only going to do one side, one hip. You're going to rotate the hip in and come to this position. So normally we'd start this in shoulder width apart, and we come to these kind of positions. And that training is kind of valuable, but I want to take it a little bit further because some of you have done a lot of this stuff before. So just take it from here, and then I just want you to feel this kind of spiral again from the hip, and be very light with it. So this is not about power training. This is about structure. So just focusing on the relationship between the hands, the relationship between the hip to the hand, and what's happening with the balance. So just here, and really slow. Use the breath as you do it. Back. Back. And really feel a kind of strong core, and see if you can kind of locate a kind of kokyu movement in it. You probably might struggle a little bit with it because we've got a kind of image of a kind of karate punch, and some of us have come through Shotokan and all these kind of arts. So we have a kind of concept of what a punch should be. But in a way, you need to basically unlearn a lot of that stuff and basically reapply a lot of the stuff we do in the weapon work directly applies to the striking work. That's it. Okay. So there's a ton of technical details with this. I'm just going to focus on one, which is basically the relationship between the elbow to the body. So when you do this kind of strike, keep the elbow quite tight to the body. So when it comes out, the elbow's quite tight to the body. And when you pull it back, it's gonna brush against the body. So you've got this motion, this. So the elbow physically kind of scrapes across the body, but I don't kind of, it's somewhere kind of floating around. So the precision in this is like the elbow brushes across. So this is too powerful. And then the feeling is like this. And that's being done by the hip. So that movement from the hip and then out from the hip. So just play a little bit with this, but keep the elbow quite close to the body. There. Bang. And you'll notice my fist is quite loose, so I'm not really focusing on a heavy fist. So I'm much more focusing on a little bit more relaxing through the movement, trying to unlock the koku again. Do a few on each side. If you've just done one side, you might find it useful to kind of change sides. But there's also a benefit of just keeping to one side, so don't worry too much if you do more on one side. Just play with it. And you can focus on one hand with both hands together. The key is just again, softness running through the body, releasing the spiral. Good. That's it. Nice. Okay, we're just going to do one more movement, just the right side, right foot forward. This is the ureke. So this is the back fist like this. So again, normally we start this kind of shoulder width, find the center, brush the hand across the face, find this kind of position. But do this now. You're just going to do it from the right side forward. It's like this. The key with this one is this arm's going to brush right across the body. It's like this. This hand's kind of center line, kind of here, and then you're going to unlock it. You do the same thing with this arm. This arm basically does the same thing as you do with the ski, brushes against the body. And then you do this, you lock it, you press the arm out. Now, again, don't be worried about what the fist does. So I'm not concerned at all with the fist. And in this case, actually, the uraken can actually be better when it's like a loose fist. And that's basically putting the eyes into the head, into the face, into the eyes. So in effect, this movement can be very loose like this. So don't worry about the fist or making a kind of striking hard thing. Just think about this, again, the hip. What's the hip doing? Now it's doing something ever so slightly different. But just go to the kind of structure. Let it back. Let it back. Let it back. There we go. Good. So this movement probably feels totally unfamiliar. We do it all the time though, when we do Ikkyo. So when you get a katatedori grip, you come across and you do this kind of movement. So this kind of strike. We do it all the time, so it's right there in the system. But in this case, it's just a little bit more unlocking. So you're like, the key thing I want you to focus on when you get the Ikkyo is I come to the side, I create the strike, and straight away I'm onto the hand. It's like this. So that's basically a distraction. I want to catch their attention, and then I've got the hand, and then and I've got them in the Ikkyo. So just see this is now like there's a kind of very loose thing. It's like out and back. So just focus now on the arm. You're basically going to do like a whip, kachan, kachan, and don't worry about what this hand's doing. Just focus on this kind of softness in the arm. It's like dum, dum. Oh, it's a bit stiff. There, this kind of quality. So it's kind of like a whip. And just think about Ikkyo. When you do Ikkyo, all these kind of techniques. Move to the side, striking an air to the side. There we go. That's it. And just let it whip back. So it goes out back. That's it. Out back. It's like a yo-yo. It goes and back, back. That's it. That's it. Okay. Okay, so it's a bit the same story as we get with the weapons. We tend to lose the body in the arm work, in the hand work. So the kind of ski work, everything goes out into the hand. And my ability to center the body, ground the feet, it's really needs to be a priority. The same when we do striking work. So just now focus, you're in a great position because the feet are just planted. So I just focus on grounding the feet, like this, but not like this, coming out of the feet. So you can come out of the feet when you've got a good structure and you can kind of do any movement. But for now, just focus on grounding. Again, do both sides, but really feel that the feet are very heavy. The legs, the lower body is very sunk. And just kind of comes out. Just kind of comes out. And again, that movement's coming from the center. So try and not make it an upper body movement. Try and make it a center movement. All right, this kind of movement. There we go. Got it. Good. And we talk a lot about grounding, but it's basically just letting the body sit into the feet. Just stack the body into the feet. It's where they are anyway, so just let the body settle as you do it. Bam, bam. Good. Okay, we'll just do one more movement, and this is based on the step, and this is directly related to the sword work. And we do this one all the time, so you're probably quite good at it. Hopefully, you're all really good at it. The sword work comes in this way, and you're going to make it like a yokomanuchi. So I'm going to practice in a really exaggerated way. If you've got the left side forward, you're going to attack with the right side. You're going to draw through, and then come through the strike. And just imagine you're kind of striking the top of the head, come through. So kind of take a position, left foot's here. You're going to roll through the body. Imagine you've got the sword. And through, strike down, and then find the position back again. So just working, sinking the weight again. And this time the thing you're really doing, which is different, which is really advancing the body. So because we're a bit more familiar with this movement, you probably find the ground much easier. And again, focus on something that's quite heavy. Relax. And then coming back to the body. There we go. And just check the posture at the end. Should be quite loose, quite grounded, but really kind of heavy in the base. Just a couple more minutes. There we go. Good. Okay. Okay, good. I'm probably watching too much Cobra Kai, but probably the first lesson, if you ever went to a karate school, was strike through the target. So however you're training, whatever you're training against, the idea is not to hit the surface. It's to strike through the surface, through. So this is the same all the time. We do this all the time again with the bokken. We don't, if you think about it, we don't do shomanuchi work like this. Don't. Don't. Sometimes we do this kind of work when we do awase work. We come here and onto the head. But when we do the saburi work, we go right through. So the feeling starts strike straight through. So just imagine with the yokomanuchi, there's a real tendency in this case to hit the surface. And then basically I'm stopping there. Now, if I've got an attack like this as a nage or as a receiver, but receiving the attack, I just feel the attack's useless. So I don't really need to do anything because the attack's just going to the surface. It's just superficial. So really feel when you're doing this kind of atemi work, especially when you're on your own, because you can really do it full power. Even though you do it slow, really feel that you're striking through something. So really, 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 the target's the head. But really feel that you go through the object. Go through the object. Just a few more, a little bit longer. 1 minute. And just strike through. That's it. And just try and relate it to the sword work again. So you're doing exactly the same body work as you would do with a yokomanuchi. Nothing's changed. It's a little bit more circular with the arms, but fundamentally the same movement. Good. Good. I just want to spend the last 30 seconds, just play with these movements. So you've got the thrust, the ski, you've got the back fist, the uraken, and you've got the yokomanuchi. These are kind of three fundamentals. You can play with other movements. Shomanuchi's one, and there's different kinds of strikes, but these are the kind of fundamental kind of vectors for the strike. So just play with them, move around in the space a little bit, just the last 30 seconds or so. Very light, and again, just focusing footwork, reaching out. Footwork, reaching out. And just play with it, just play with the structure a little bit. Again, this idea of striking through if you want, but just see if you can kind of play with the body, see if you can find the sword work in the structure. Bang, bang, bang. And again, hips, ground, center, all this kind of stuff is really where the training's at. So being balanced, being grounded, being centered, passing spirals out of a structure. This is where the work's at. That's it. And slow, heavy is basically where you make the changes. Very slow, very heavy. That's it. That's it. Good. That's it, nice. Just move around the space. Explore a little bit. That's it, you're good. Very good. Super heavy, great. Boom. Nice. Good. Okie dokie, good. We'll just bow it with the bokken. So if you got any questions, nothing was clear, or you want a bit more clarification, just let me know. But the basic of this for me with the atemi work is really trying to unlock the sword work that we do, because we have a very strong practice solo work in the weapons, and we don't have quite the same usually in the empty-handed work. We do a little bit of tainenko, maybe a little bit of marotodori, and then we expect students to be able to make strikes properly and do this kind of stuff. But if you don't teach anyone how to do this stuff, they will never learn it. So one of the works as the teachers, as some of us are teachers as well, quite a lot of us are teachers here, so that is trying to get that kind of understanding to the students, because they won't get it on their own, or very rarely get it on their own. So, and the more we can unlock it for them, the easier it will be to kind of pass those kind of things on to people. So yeah, unlocking the weapon system. And really the idea is, like, I don't want to do something that's fundamentally different to what I do in all the other things. I don't want to start kind of doing different kind of striking kind of positions. Obviously you can make those fit to Aikido, but the idea is that all the atemi work is actually fit into the taijutsu work. So yeah, that's basically it. Okay. So that works. Okay. Hi. Domo. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Domo. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Very good.
Thank you.
Great videos on
Thank
YouTube.
you.
Thank
Watch
you.
them. Get lost with the atemi work.